Seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Welcome to the HenryHussey Coaching YouTube channel and podcast, where we discuss everything physique and lifestyle related, as well as the science of getting jacked. All right, everybody, this evening, as promised, it is Monday the 26th. We're doing a little quick interview for about 30 minutes with Macdonald. We got a good few questions lined up for him, talking about his off-season during his peak week and some stuff during his show prep as well. We're hoping to get some insight into his training. So first and foremost, introduce yourself, Morgan. Go right ahead.
What's up? Morgan Macdonald here. Currently getting ready for Canadian Nationals, which is this upcoming Saturday. So yeah, that's what's going on right now, man. So trying to deal with the prep rain and, getting everything ready to go. So, but yeah, everything's good right now, man. Had a really, really good prep so far. Best prep I've had in my life for sure. So just trying to capitalize on that, keep everything together for this last week and just nail the peak week so we can come in perfect on Saturday.
Awesome. Now, you've won some awards in the past, correct?
Yeah, I've done 3 competitions before this one in bodybuilding. In 2013 was my first year. I was only 20 years old. I became 3rd in the men's open heavyweight and 2nd in the junior class. 2014, I competed in the NLABBA provincials again. I won the juniors that year.
Fantastic.
And got 3rd in heavyweight again that year. And then the last year I competed was 2015, and I took 2nd in heavyweight and ended up losing to Joby Doolin, the overall winner of that show. And I also took home Best Legs Award at that show, which was one of my favorite trophies and awards I've ever gotten in my life.
Yeah, you can't complain about that one.
Yeah, well, it's leg training, man. Like leg day is leg day. So if you got the best legs, that says a lot, in my opinion.
100%, and I've seen some shots of your legs over the last little while, and you've put some work into them the last year as well.
Yeah, they actually, even though my upper body was my focus this past off season, the lower body came up as well. Just because, just training them anyway. I don't got to do much to make those grow. Fortunately for me.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of people don't have that complaint, so.
Yeah, well, exactly. I know I'm lucky in that way. I know of a lot of guys that got to hit legs twice a week, 2 or 3 times a week. I don't know how they do it because I hit them hard once a week, and I can't even touch them until 7 days goes by because I need that recovery time. So
yeah,
props
sure.
to all you guys out there that train legs more than once a week. I don't know how you do it.
I do twice a week, but yeah, that's about as much as I'm going to push it. That's it. All right, so how about we start discussing, actually, some of that stuff in your off-season. How long was your last off-season? Do you recall? You were off for a bit.
It was about 15 months, from when I officially started and put the hammer down to when I started the contest prep for this show that I'm doing on Saturday. Yeah, right around 15 months for sure.
And how do you approach your training during the off season? Do you do any specific periodization models, or do you just go in do you write your own programs, or do you have a coach during the off season?
Yeah, kind of on and off, but more so just for diet and supplementation and stuff like that. I've always done my own training because I've been a personal trainer for years. I do all kinds of online coaching, so I think you should be able to put yourself together.
100%.
A good training program, in my opinion. So I always do my own training, and I just kind of by now have I'm still learning, obviously, but I have my body figured out to a certain extent to the type of training I need to do, when to go heavy, when not to go heavy, when to really focus on isolation, on muscle groups, and different phases of the off-season training. But this was the first off-season in the 4 years that I've been competing that I've really almost treated like a prep. It was so that I was eating 6 or 7 meals a day, 95% of those meals would be clean. I would eat 5 to 6 clean meals a day,
Mhm.
and then if I had like a heavy training session that day, I'd have a cheat meal. So I'd say throughout this off season, I was probably having cheat meals like 4 to 5 days a week. But at the same time, because I was pounding all the clean food as well, I was able to stay pretty lean this off season.
Yeah.
Like I could see my abs at the beginning of my prep for the show. So, so just taking the off season serious and being consistent with everything for that 15 months definitely helped me improve. I should be about anywhere from 13 to 17 pounds heavier for this show than I was my last one on stage, and I'll definitely be leaner. So,
and that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, you can't ask for much better than that in the run of 15 months. That's a fantastic turnaround on what you did. So, man, hats off to you. I say the same thing to my clients, even myself. I say to them, the off season didn't really start. It's just I'm taking that full 8 months until my show this year, and I did the exact same thing. I just pounded in the food, kept it clean, kept the training, standard basics, and went through it that way. And I've seen dividends this year more than I have any other year. So
it's all about the food in the off season, man.
100%.
You got to be consistent pounding the food. That's how you grow. Like your muscles don't want to grow. You really got to force it. And the bigger you get, for every pound of muscle you put on, it's going to make the next pound that much harder to put on. That's something I've definitely learned. So
100%.
And the same thing, like bodybuilding, like competing in general, like the better you get, the harder it gets. And especially everybody that, their end goal is to be an IFBB pro. Like until you start doing what the pros are doing, then you're not going to be a pro.
Yeah,
that's how
100%.
That's mentality. So if you're not going to live the lifestyle of a pro, physique competitor, bodybuilder, bikini, whatever, you're not going to get to that level. So
totally. No, well, what did they say? You have to mimic greatness. To that point, that's how you get to it, and then you can leave your own path after you get there. That's a good way to go for it. 100%. In your training, I would assume you do some pretty high volumes. How much volume are you doing per week? Like on your leg day, since you're only doing one leg day, like how many sets would you be doing? What rep schemes would you be doing that in an off-season sort of thing?
Probably 25 to 30 sets for a leg day. But I try to just do the hard stuff mainly. So I might like warm up with a couple machines, like a seated hamstring curl or something. Mm-hmm. Actually, a lot in this off season, I was doing walking lunges first. So I'd use like 135, 155 pound barbell and just do like 4 or 5 sets of 20 to 24 reps. Because I found with me that just helped get the blood in there and get a good stretch before I moved on to something like squats. But then there was certain leg days, like I would just go in and I might do 10 to 15 sets of squats and just get up to like really heavy weight for like my middle working sets. And then I could finish off with some higher rep sets, something like that. But then still, you get the regular stuff into the accessories. So like, stiff leg deadlifts, leg extensions, split squats, leg press. Generally I'll do about 4 to 5 sets in exercise, anywhere from 10 to 25 reps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meat and potatoes type of stuff, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, well, the legs, exactly like I said before, man. As long as I train the legs hard and hit them with intensity, I know they're going to grow anyway. I don't need to put as much thought behind my leg training as I do my upper body training. Mm-hmm. For me, I was doing... There was even sometimes when I went 10 days without training legs because I was so focused on my upper body this off season, mm-hmm. and I just knew what needed to come up. So my back and my chest and my shoulders were my biggest focus this mm-hmm. last off season. So I was hitting all those twice a week at least. Arm training kind of went on the back burner for a little bit, like as far as isolating arms go. Yeah, like I might have thrown an exercise 2 to 3 times a week for biceps or triceps, but it was mostly just bringing up those main upper body muscle groups. So just hitting those with tons of high volume workouts and a lot of frequency as well. So 2 to 3 times a week for some of those. Yeah. So that definitely, did a lot for me this off season for sure.
Totally. What kind of upper body stuff are you doing for your back, chest? You said you were focusing on that a fair amount. Like, were you multi-time training per week with that? Like doing chest twice a week, back twice a week sort of thing?
Yeah, my week would usually look like probably shoulders Monday, back Tuesday, chest Wednesday,
Mhm.
shoulders Thursday, back Friday, legs Saturday, and then maybe chest again on Sunday or wait till Monday.
Yeah, for sure.
And then always just, it would switch around here and there depending on what I felt like doing. I'd always try to keep my chest and shoulder days away from each other just because obviously when you train chest, you're going to get some shoulders involved there too. So I'd always want to give them a break in between each other.
Mhm.
But besides that, man, it was just really high output and really high input. So I was training a lot the off season, usually just only one day off a week.
Yeah.
But I was eating a ton of food to help recover. So
Yeah. That's the same thing I did. 6 days a week, push, pull legs, and I was eating a surplus of 1,000 calories. And after a while, I just stopped growing, and they were like, "You need to eat more." And I was eating to the point that I was basically feeling sick all the time. And I was like, "Okay, I need to take a little bit of maintenance time and chill out for a bit," because
it's such it's so funny in the off season because especially towards the end of it for me, like I couldn't wait to start prep.
I felt the exact same way. It was just like, I'm so sick of eating all this food. I can't wait to diet for a little bit. And that's when I did my little bit of a mini cut and I lost 15 pounds. But yeah, eating a lot of food, especially, in surpluses of 1,000 calories or more over your maintenance, it gets old after a while.
Yeah, and people don't, and like, you can think in terms of calories, but when you're trying to make those calories, chicken and rice, and oats and egg whites.
100%. That's a whole lot of fucking steel cutouts.
That's a lot of volume of food, and it gets extremely challenging trying to fit that in. Like the one thing that's harder than being hungry is force feeding when you're completely sat up.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then like right now I'm at the end of this prep, and I obviously can't wait to eat all kinds.
Ravenous. You're ravenous. That's how I get too. For sure.
But that's all part of it. So
yeah, for sure. So you did shoulders twice per week as well. Were you doing mainly focusing on like anterior with a lot of those shoulders days, or you just basically split it up among the three? I personally barely do any anterior work anymore just because I do a lot of pushing movements. I find I get a lot of anterior work, so I just basically spent most of my year this year working on my medial and rear delts, which I bring up quite a bit. Like, how does your shoulder training look on your shoulder days?
Something that I found definitely helped bring up my shoulders majorly and my upper chest is seated military press. Mm-hmm. That's one big movement I put into, my shoulder training quite often. And I would go heavy too. I think I used to work up to sets of like 275 or sets of 6 to 8 on seated military press, and just putting that kind of weight on your shoulders and pushing it over your head, but also being in that seated position where you have all the support on your back and that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Really helped my shoulders come up for sure. And a lot, but I also focus on width a lot on the shoulders. So lots and lots of lateral raises for me. So usually 2 to 3 exercises just for the medial delts per shoulder workout. So like, I'd usually try to go kind of heavy on the standing dumbbell lateral raises, sets like 10 to 12. And then my next movement would be a cable or a machine. And I'd do 15 to 20 reps on those sets. Just because my shoulders were kind of narrow the last few years. So I knew I needed to get those wider. So that was a main focus for me. And then my rear delts were always pretty good anyway, so I hit those once, maybe twice a shoulder workout, and that kept them growing fine. So
yeah, I seen one of your side posts I put up in the little thing for questions, and I was like, man, your shoulders have grown dividends. They're pretty big now. They're looking good, man. I gotta say.
Yeah, it was really helping with that X frame for me because unfortunately for me, I have like a bigger waist. That's one of my downfalls. So my quads need to be as wide as they can, my lats need to be as wide as they can, and my shoulders need to be wide as I can. So I know the muscle thickness will come with age for me as I continue to train and get older. But the width is something that I know I can work on now, especially just to build that, to fill out my frame, because I'm 6'2", so it's quite a bit to fill out. But having that X frame is the biggest deal for me. So getting the shoulders as wide as possible was definitely a focus. Yeah.
Totally. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about with your off season there? I think we nailed pretty much a lot of things there when it comes to off season.
We covered the off season for sure.
All right. Well, how about we talk a little bit about show prep? As you mentioned, you started pretty lean this year. You already had abs when you started. How many weeks were you in show prep for?
20.
20? It's a good long time to be in show prep.
Yeah, the first 4 weeks though, like I could have started at 16.
Mm-hmm.
The first 4, I didn't even do any cardio. It was just more so. I was still getting a cheat meal a week at that point, but it was more so just me getting my routine figured out with my work schedule, because I like to figure out like how to space my food and like when to eat during the day.
Yeah.
So I kind of took the first 4 weeks to do that and just get like used to eating vegetables again, because that's something I don't eat in the off season pretty much at all. I use like greens powder supplements, but off season, but just for the sake of not taking up so much volume in my stomach, I cut out vegetables in the off season. Just helps me eat more like dense food.
I know exactly what you mean.
So incorporating those back in my diet and just kind of get my head wrapped around the food prep and the routine. And then the prep, like we really got to get into it at 16 weeks out. Like I cut out all cheat meals at 16 weeks out. I don't have any. And then I got to eat quite a bit. Like even from the 16 weeks out to probably like 10 or 11 weeks out, I was still forcing food down.
Yeah. How many calories or like what was your macros looking at this point in your prep? Like 16
at the beginning, like 16 weeks out. Well, my protein's always like 425 to 475 grams of protein per day. I would say at that point my carbs were still probably around 750 or 800, and my fats were actually really high. I was eating 6 to 8 eggs a day. You know, a lot like peanut butter, red meat twice. So my fat was probably around like 120 grams or more. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure how much calories that adds up to, but that would probably be the macros at that point in my prep.
Yeah. So yeah, you're looking, around 4. I'd say a lot, about 5K maybe.
Yeah, and not bad for prep, right? And then again, it's all clean. It's all clean food, so I was never hungry.
100%. 100%. So when you started doing cardio, what was your approach with cardio? Like what styles do you do? Is it just like steady state sort of thing? I know like 90% of people just stick to steady state and prep. I'm a big purveyor of it as well. Like,
it usually works better for like us bigger guys too, the steady state. Intervals, because we require so much, like because our muscles are so big. We actually have a tendency to lose muscle. I do, at least when I do like any type of high intensity interval type stuff. I think that's better suited for other divisions and more of an athletic look, I guess. But yeah, so I would start it out at 16 weeks. So when I start cardio, I just do it every morning, fast it. So we just started at 20 minutes on the step mill. And it basically slowly progressed up until now, and now it's this last week it's been going down every day. Yeah. So we worked up to, I'd say we worked up to 50 minutes every morning, probably 4 weeks out. And that's where I've been at. Yeah. It hasn't really changed since then. We've just made a few very minor tweaks to my diet to bring me to where I am right now. But yeah, the step mill, man, and obviously increase the intensity. Like that's one thing I'm huge on that a lot of people ignore, like in steady state cardio, is not making it harder themselves and not progressively overloading their cardiovascular system. Even if if you're working with a coach or you're doing your own prep and you start at 20 minutes of cardio, before that 20 minutes increases to 25 or 30 minutes, you should have increased the speed at which you were doing that cardio. Yes. In my opinion. Before you extend the time, because you want to get the most you can out of each like interval time of cardio that you're doing. In the sense that, so if you're on the step mill and you start out at doing level 4 at 20 minutes, before you put that time up to 25 or 30 minutes, maybe you should be doing that original 20 minutes at level 5 or 6 before you extend the time. Just so that you can keep the amount of cardio you're doing down throughout your whole prep. It might be harder during that time you're doing it, but at least the time will stay down. And I just think that helps with muscle preservation as well as like recovery in between your workouts and stuff like that. Totally. So because I know for me, every single prep I've done since I started competing, I've had to do less prep. less cardio in that prep.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that works for me. So just pushing it. So I think by like now I do about level 8 or 9 on the step mill for 50 minutes, and that gives me about 250 floors a workout. So it's a pretty hard 50 minutes. Like it's not slow, but it's not fast either. It's just a pace I can maintain, but
Mhm.
my heart rate's up. I'm short of breath, so that's when I know my body's working, and that's when I know I'm doing something, like actually burning body fat.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed as well when I was doing that 8-week mini cut. I started at, just 20 minutes of cardio, and I slowly ramped it up to the end. I was doing an hour a day for the last week. But, I mean, the first, time I was doing 30, I was sweating like I was dying when I was doing it. And at the end of that 60 minutes, that was no longer challenging to me whatsoever. I could, just have a conversation, listen to a podcast, and by the end of it, I was just like, it's over. And I didn't even really feel like I was doing cardio at that point, because your body adapts to cardio so quickly, right? It's just, especially like low intensity steady state, like it just, you adapt super, super fast, and that's why you got to do such silly numbers for some people to just burn that fat too.
Yeah, it becomes very like robotic in a way. I know what you mean. But I mean, it's necessary. One thing I love about cardio for me is actually getting in better cardiovascular shape, because when I'm training in the off season, I'm 315.
Yeah.
So, trying to get through those leg days with very bad cardiovascular endurance is really tough for me sometimes in the off season. Same thing with my back training. Like, those are tough days in the off season, but
Yeah.
as prep goes on and I get in better cardio shape, I actually enjoy the weight training more, because I'm not so out of breath the entire time after every single set I do.
100%.
And also mobility, like my mobility in the off season, like I keep up on massage therapy and stuff like that, so it stays good enough so I can train at full capacity. But I find just from doing cardio, like my mobility increase, my whole body, like all my joints feel better. And I guess that's because of the blood flow every single day, and just moving the blood around in the body and stuff like that. It's just it's good for you. So
100%.
there's definitely some other benefits besides just getting shredded from doing cardio.
I hear you. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So does your training change whatsoever when you're in prep as well? Do you basically stick to your same style stuff that you would during the off season?
Yeah, man. I
same.
do. My training does not change very much at all. My strength obviously goes down. The only change has probably been this last 2 weeks, really, when I've just been focusing on like a lot more isolation and just trying to stimulate the muscles, because at this point, when your calories are this low and you're this depleted, the more direct muscle stimulation you can get just for muscle preservation purposes, as opposed to just going in and doing like compounds and that kind of stuff. It's just going to be harder for your body to recover from. And I mean, you're not going to grow at this point in your prep.
No.
The food is not there. You're not going to gain muscle, unless you're one in a million genetic freaks that can do that. But,
Totally. But like you said, they're 1 in a million.
Exactly. We're not. So yeah, man, that's just the last couple of weeks has been the only changes, really.
Yeah, just trying to keep out of that injury prevention zone and, just get in and get that work done.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Well, we've gone over pretty much all of that. Let's talk about peak week a little bit, and then maybe some guest questions. I got 3 or 4 there for people. So, starting into peak week, how do you guys adopt that? Like, for food and things like that? I know a lot of coaches do a lot of different things coming into peak week. Like, do you guys do anything with sodium, potassium, or like your water, anything like that? Like, do you carb backload, front load, any specific styles?
So yeah, so I had a couple high carb days actually. When was that? Friday and Saturday were both high carb days for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started like a depletion phase on Sunday. So we just bring the carbs down. We probably dropped 160 grams of carbs.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that yesterday. We're doing that today, and we're doing that tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of will put me in a pretty depleted state. I'll probably lose another pound or 2 by tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, we bring that 160 grams of carbs back in. So, and then basically Wednesday and Thursday, we keep that. Friday goes up even more for the day before the show. And then the morning of the show, we get on stage pretty early, I'm pretty sure, probably around like noon. So I'll only have like, 2 meals. and the regular pre-stage stuff, some candy and whatever. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much how we're doing it. So like a little deplete for the next couple days, and then start the carb load, right?
Mm-hmm.
For water, we don't do anything too crazy. I've been drinking a ton of water the whole prep. My sodium has also been really high. So I keep that really consistent. The sodium stays high up until the day of the show.
Mm-hmm.
With the water, we drink a lot until Friday. Friday, I'll limit myself to probably 2 or 3 liters, and then try to be done by the evening. And then I'll just be flushing water out all Friday night into Saturday morning, and then just try to come in as dry as possible for by the time we hit the stage. So it's all about timing. Those, like, the fine details of that, we figure out more so when we're there. And my coach will be at the show, so I'll be talking, like, he'll be looking at me and making adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the carbs. Like, the carbs could increase, they could decrease once he looks at me.
Yeah.
And even with sodium, really, if we had to, but I don't think I'm going to have trouble with conditioning anyway. So
No, not whatsoever. Awesome. I just know a lot of different people do a lot of different things, and it's interesting to hear how you're going. So that
here's how to look at that, though. Like, if you've done your job up until peak week, then you should not have to do anything drastic.
100%.
If you're shred it, man. Like if I flex my ass for you right now, you can see every muscle fiber in my glutes. So, like, I know that, if I mess around with water or sodium too much, I could kind of ruin that. But if I just keep everything the same, besides a little bit, like a little water cut towards the end, you're gonna look good anyway, right?
100%. And I've done the knowledge that, a lot of people, especially at amateur shows, they put a lot of weight on peak week and what it's going to do for your conditioning at amateur shows. And a lot of the times they mess it up and they make it actually worse. I mean, I personally wasn't lean enough last year for my show. My back didn't come in fully and I didn't get there. And when I did my peak week, it actually just put a lot of water into my lower back. My front looked great, but it made my back look a lot worse. So,
yeah.
You need to be that level of shredded to even get these peak week things even just really matter or not make it worse, right? So,
100%. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so that question was actually just someone from Danielle Isaacs. She wanted to talk about just like your opinions on those as well. Josh Garland, he had a quick question. How does it feel to be a staple athlete for Newfoundland, such as being referred to as one of the biggest of the rock? And how did you start along your path of bodybuilding?
I used to play like a really high level of basketball, like coming up through high school, traveled all over the States and Canada for basketball and played, for Team Newfoundland, went to Canada Games, did all that stuff. So basically when that was all over, after playing about like half a year university ball, I, kind of quit that and didn't really do anything. So I started lifting weights.
Mm-hmm.
Just training, just to be in shape, look good, whatever. And then I guess I just caught the bug, and like my goal was to never compete when I started lifting weights. I don't think that is for anybody, but I think I just knew I could grow muscle fast because I made gains really quickly when I first started. And I think then just the idea of just the competitor that I am, I've been a competitor my whole life. I was very passionate about basketball, and my passion just kind of switched over to bodybuilding in the sense that, I knew I was pretty good at it. So I started competing, and then after I competed, I just wanted to be the best at it. So that's kind of why I started competing. Yeah. But the goal, it's funny because the original goal when I first really got into weight, like when I was into training, but before I wanted to compete, I just wanted to be the biggest guy in the gym. Like that was the goal.
Yeah.
And then you kind of reach that, like, at your local fitness center, you're the biggest guy. And then you start competing, and then you realize, like, I'm not so big.
Yeah.
And then you just want to get bigger and be a better competitor. So yeah, that's how it started for me, man.
Yeah, I read an interesting quote just like a couple weeks ago. And it was like, the day you first start competing is the last day you'll be happy with how you look. And You know, I know for myself and a lot of people that compete, that is 100% true.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So last question here. Ezra Weeks, a guy based out of Calgary, asks, how much did you weigh when you started, and how much now, and how long did it take you from point A to point B?
Okay. Well, when I first started competing, for my first show, I cut down from 240.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I wasn't a good-looking 240. And I competed I was in heavyweight, so I probably competed at like 225. I was pretty lean, but not like overly shredded.
Yeah.
And now this year, I cut from 310, and I should be about 265, in between 265 and 270 on stage on Saturday. So that took 4 years. So you're talking about like almost, 40 to 45 pounds of stage weight in 4 years.
Yeah.
Right. So that's about 45 pounds of lean muscle.
Yeah.
So, average around 11, 12 pounds a year.
And that's pretty good for, like you said, you did the 15-month off season. That definitely led to those gains for sure.
For sure. Well, you see in bodybuilding, you don't even hear about most guys reaching their prime until they're in their 30s or mid 30s.
And you get a lot of their muscle maturity adds a lot to that. You get that density, the graininess that you're able to bring out as you age, right?
And it takes time. Like there's a lot of guys turning pro at a younger age now, like early 20s. But I mean, again, like they turn pro and you don't hear of them again, with the exception of a few guys, for like another 2 or 3 years, because they get their pro card, then they got to take 2 more years time off just to get to the level to compete as a pro.
Mm-hmm.
Like not many people go to nationals and get their pro card and then compete in a pro show that year or the next year. Because there's that, it's almost like starting over, right? Yeah. You get that pro card and then it's like you're in a whole new universe of competing. So, but I mean, that's still the goal to get to that.
Oh, exciting, man. Really exciting. Well, that ends for all the questions for me personally. Is there anything you'd like to discuss? Any shout outs, anything like that you'd like to say?
Just thank you to anybody that even watches this video. Any support I've received throughout this whole prep, it's been awesome. I've made lots of posts. I try to keep people updated on what I'm doing. And it seems like a lot of people are appreciating that I'm putting that out there. But the fact that everyone's interested in what I'm doing is a big part of my motivation. So just a thank you to every single person out there that's even asked me a question or asked me how my prep is going or something like that. It is really appreciated because it's such a process and such an enduring thing to do that, all those little extra things can really add up and help push you through it. So yeah, besides that, just, thanks. I love you, Mom. But yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right, brother. Well, that's it for today. I want to say thank you to Morgan. Give him a big shout of good luck coming up in the week in his first national show. All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, man.
Cheers.